Well, happy Prosperity Monday, everybody. Well, for some others, it is Black Monday. But anyway, it's always sunshine in here, regardless of what the sunshine may look like, it is. So, welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this. Love this group. We have one of the most diverse groups, I think, that are out there on YouTube. It's um, a brilliant group. And as I see the machine, so I am now living your future. And just to let you know, the future's looking good. So all I got to say is I see it wrapping up there. So I know we're live. And so again, welcome everybody. I do have a great guest, Kory. You'll meet him here in a second, but I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat room. Let me just as I always like to do, it's a great invocation, speaking favor. You know, a lot of times I had a manager that I worked with. I knew the dude, and he was the type of guy. Literally, you'd say good morning to him. He says, "What the fuck's good about it?" So it's really is a good afternoon here. But regardless what others say, we have favor. We like to say nothing missing, nothing broken because that's peace. And then we always give the good mental health word of the day. Be kind to your mind. And if you want to find that gear, Nina's got it. Seen hers in the office, the chat room. How are you doing, dear? Everybody. Hello, Susie Q. Love it. And Susie, I always enjoy opposing views. The great thing about debate, it's the elixir, it's the ambrosia of life, of thought itself. And there's a proverb that says, iron sharpens iron. That goes as well mentally, physically, spiritually. So, Susie, love it, I love it. Gaia says, buffering, buffering. I saw that. Listen, they're hip to what they don't like the title of the show itself. Let's just get this out, and I'll get Kory in here in a second here. But yeah, the title itself has all got the red flags about it. You use the word Black Swan event. And then you go and put the last thing, well, let's put a curse on them. They're scared shitless when they see that kind of stuff. Now they may say, oh, no, because we're going to discuss, how blessing is a curse. And whereas a curse ends up to be a blessing, it's funky. Um, and if you believe the story where I came out of, and I know Kory came out of that part of the country that what we call the Bible Belt, you find out that God cursed us. Then he cursed the earth. I mean, so, and if you've done any Bible study, read the book of Deuteronomy. You read that 28th chapter of book of Deuteronomy, here's the weird thing. Only 14 verses cover the blessing. You've got over 140 verses that cover the curse. You figure it out, baby. So let me just welcome my friend. I just got a chance to really get to talk to him before we went live, but it is exciting. Kory, how are you doing, my friend? Um, and it's Curtis, right? Or Kortis
Kortis,
is
Kortis, you got it right. Yeah, Kortis.
okay. I just wanted to
Yeah,
make
yeah,
sure.
by descent.
Yeah, because when you call someone and you find out it wasn't quite the right pronunciation, you go. But anyway, welcome. Good to see you. And
Awesome.
how are you?
I'm doing quite well. Really pleased and jazzed to be with you. I've been, like I said, I've been watching the show since around April and really felt a quick kinship with everybody. And again, so like-minded and so respectful. Very compassionate, very caring for one another in the chat. I
Yeah.
really have grown to appreciate that in really quick fashion. So
Well,
good
thank
stuff.
you. Y'all can give yourselves a big old pat. It's all right. Y'all do it. By the way, Susie, I saw that your friend had a cardiac issue, heart attack is what people would call them, and still here. So, we just speak healing there, and John sending you healing. And, folks, had some very one close in my family, who recently was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So, um, yeah, it's some funky stuff out there. That's all I got to say. And Kory, I know today we're going to get to know you a little bit more. and how fortuitous that we bring in the esoteric into a time where we're seeing blatant manipulation, corruption. Um, it's as if the the other attributes that make humanity what humanity is, and that's compassion, empathy, having a moral compass, you don't sell out another human being for a buck. I mean, and it's for me at my age, and I'll like get your perspective, it's becoming more and more a bizarre world. So, Kory, tell us about who you are, how'd you get here, and a little bit about your journey.
Okay, like I was telling you earlier, I really got introduced into like metaphysical concepts in like the early 90s. I was living in Los Angeles and I would start going to used bookstores and finding interesting books, looking at the titles and what have you, the subject matter. And so I found a handful that were really interesting to me and I really started adopting that as a philosophy, like things along the lines of theosophy and yeah, Helena Blavatsky and all that fun stuff. And then in Los Angeles in 1995, I started interning for a magazine called Perceptions. And it was Gwen Wyckoff and Judith Brewer were the two main people doing the magazine. And it was really a really great melding of the so-called patriot community, which was really burgeoning at the time, and metaphysical concepts. And so it was really a good blend of both. And that was where I was at the time because really when when Waco happened in the early 90s, I was there in Los Angeles and I felt so hamstrung, and I was watching this on the television. I'm like, this cannot be happening in my home country of Texas. This is just like so foreign that this would be happening. I thought, if any, and this is a thing too. I think this is also why Texas was chosen initially for that thing to happen, which was going to happen somewhere at some point in the United States, somewhere that kind of confrontation was going to take place. But to happen in Texas, of course, that was a great example that hey, Texas is not so tough after all, and we're going to do what we're going to do. We're going to come in here with the feds, and we're going to bust this thing up, and then all the legislation that would start to come forward as a result of these incidents. And then Oklahoma was the next one, and more legislation, more rights being taken away. And then certainly by 2001, we all know about the Patriot Act and all that fun stuff. And so I've just been watching this gradual erosion. I mean, frankly, in 1995, I thought, I was going to get hauled away to a FEMA camp for my beliefs back then. You know what I mean? And so thankfully, it hasn't happened yet, but it's just been an ongoing process of watching our republic, debilitate, and then watching all of these cretins, doing what they're doing. And it's just, it's an age-old thing. There's nothing new under the sun, but more and more people are aware of this, as we're discussing here today. And I think just the trend of public consciousness is going to steer the ship in the right direction, in spite of people getting in the street and protesting or what have you. I just feel like people's minds are right, people's attitudes are right, that it's going to force the change. Like, because we're kind of getting
Yeah.
back into the whole civil rights and the whole hippie era kind of mentality, I think, in a lot of ways.
A
And
lot of
also,
it ways, yeah. I lived
if you
it.
look at the astrology as well, if you look at the astrology right now that's going on, there's things going on that haven't happened in 6,000 years, da, 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 da. And there are a lot of ties with the U.S. birth chart and things that are going on astrologically that I think have a lot of implications for us as well. So I'm always keeping an eye on those kind of things and trying to kind of, do a weather forecast, you know what I mean? And just see what's happening.
And I love the war. Everyone is saying that there's a buffering problem. I'm sorry, I didn't. There, it doesn't surprise me, but apparently there are some X-class flares that are firing. Have just very recently, right before we went. So this doesn't surprise me. Um, but I have no doubt that AI is, they don't like this thing. And as you said, Kory, one of the things that when corruption becomes so corrupt that the disproportionate who do not and are not corrupt, and as they live under this heavy millstone that's been put upon our necks, eventually the people say they have enough. And what happened Friday was criminal. It was deliberate. It was a deliberate manipulation of a trading platform that should be under immediate federal investigation. The FCC should have already stepped in and begun criminal investigations because the culprit behind this, J.P. Morgan, that's who it is,
Yeah, call a spade a
has been
spade.
found guilty, not once, not twice, but three times for doing the very same thing, except this time they just thought they were going to have the big dick and big balls and just say, fuck you to everybody, every American taxpaying citizen, and the little guy. And what they did is criminal. They crushed $15 trillion like that. People went broke on Friday. Innocent people. These were people who have coin stores that do the trading in the metals. This was a deliberate attack by the bankers. It's still under attack. And this is a corrupt system. It's a rigged system. And if it's the same rigged system that the COMEX is dealing with, then does that go to the NASDAQ? That goes to the S&P? Does it go to the NYSE? I mean, this is nuts. And since this is all happening at a peak time astronomically and astrologically, you've got to ask, well, what's happened? Is this the beginning of a Black Swan event? Because Jamie Dimon, your company, Chase Bank, JP Morgan, we don't trust you. We don't trust your system. We know it's rigged. And the problem is they've bought the politicians off. I mean, no politician. I talked to my senator, and it was his office is like, well, it actually, and exactly what they said. This is just normal reaction to normal market conditions. And when I tried to tell this individual, no, that's not the case, because what you're saying is that supply has come in and inundated the market beyond market demand, which would then cause the price to collapse. That's not what's happened here. Demand is at an all-time high, continuing to escalate. There are no precious metals. You've got the US Mint, the Australian Mint, you've got the European Central Bank. All these banks are not buying any silver, that nor are they selling any silver.
Hmm.
And what was happening last week to show you how this is nothing less than a direct attack on the sovereignty of the United States dollar is that you had someone come in and because of margin call, they had to force it down. And this is illusionary. This is magic.
Oh yeah.
This is what it is. This is a spell. Because
Hmm.
what they did is that they created the illusion, well, that the market dynamics had changed. It is not. So, Kory, what do you think about this?
Well, I saw it. I sent you an email as well when J.P.
Yeah,
Morgan
you
did
did.
that. They did the surgical strike right at the exact
Oh, I
moment.
mean, they must have used Trump's B-2 bomber or something because it was it. Now, this is this. You know what this reminds me of? The first
What's that?
Star Wars, when you got
Hmm.
Luke in there on the starfighter, the ship. Got to get that direct hit right in that little. Yeah,
Oh yeah, 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 for sure,
yeah.
absolutely. Surgical strike. So I mean, there's complete intent behind it, and uh, and then the bank in Perth failed. Then the bank in Chicago failed. Subsequently after that, and so we've had the bank failures in the past, right? We had the SNL thing back in the late 80s, John McCain and all his friends, and then Lehman Brothers, 2008, all that. 2023 was the Silicon
Goldman
thing.
Sachs, the whole bit back there. Yeah.
This one, though, I don't know. My spidey sense is tingling on this one for some reason. I really have the sense that this is where the real unraveling of the financial thing is going to start in earnest. And it's going to, I think it's going to happen once it starts happening. Once the ball started rolling kind of slowly right now, right? But I think it's going to take off pretty quick and it's going to get cascade pretty quick. So, this is going to affect obviously a lot of people more in other ways than
I
others.
talked
But
to people, I must have had six conversations this morning, both by phone and by email. And these are people that are in the finance and they're pissed because,
Did you notice how quiet it was though? Nobody, as far as the mainstream media,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were crickets with regard to any of this. They were talking about Epstein and everything else under the sun.
They're
You know,
still trying to use the Epstein as a cover-up.
oh, completely,
Yeah.
completely. I mean, they drag that thing out every so often. You know, when things start to get a little, when people start to get a little uppity, they bring that up and try to kind
Well, if
of
they get Bill
placate
Gates in
them.
handcuffs and Bill Clinton, I would say that then that the tide is turned. But
Yeah,
you
exactly,
know, but you're
exactly.
right about one thing. This one's different. The
Yes.
manipulation of the Hunt brothers in the 80s was one thing. But now this is a direct manipulation by one bank, particularly.
Mhm.
JP Morgan holds, I think it's 1.5 billion troy ounces of silver.
Hmm.
So they are the Comdex indicator. Whatever JP Morgan does, the rest of the market. That's got to be broken. And that can be fixed by legislation. Because if
Think
that
that.
isn't fixed,
Hmm.
then, precious metals like copper,
Right.
gold, the rest of them, we can't be sure as to exactly is this the illusion, this magic, these wizards over at JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, are you a part of this? Because you're manipulating the market, and I don't remember anyone electing you as God.
But this is the thing. We didn't elect anything with regard to the Federal Reserve in
No,
1913.
we sure
You
didn't.
know what I mean? So that's the origin, and that's you cut the head off the Fed, and that's what like Ron Paul was very against the Fed. I don't know if you remember Norfed dollars, these
Yeah,
silver coins.
yeah.
Okay, Order von Neuhaus tried to come out and come against the Fed and try to have an alternative to the Fed, and you know that didn't work out in the long run. He really got into trouble when he started minting Ron Paul coins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't like that stuff. And what
Yeah, got a
happened
little
to
hot for
Elon? Elon, you brought us Doge, but weren't you going to Doge the Federal Reserve? Do we really own the 12 million metric tons of gold? Do we really own that?
And also, you know, Donald was going to take a look inside Fort
Yeah, what happened to
Knox.
that?
No, because you know why?
I was actually at an event with Ron Paul, and he got himself in trouble. I mean, he got a visit, and because, he was so radically
Mhm.
pushing audit the Fed, get rid of the Fed. We're the only country, the only free world superpower industrialized country that has a quasi private government something
Mhm.
that somehow they get the right to print our money,
Right, right, right.
and then the sons of bitches charge us interest for it.
Hmm.
See, that's magic, folks.
Oh, yes.
That's a spell.
Hmm. One thing as well, if you think about who is featured on the respective denominations of money, they have, uh, well, obviously Washington, but they
Who is
have,
God? Who is Zeus?
yeah, and yeah, true, true. Then they have Lincoln. He came out with the greenback. Then on the 20, you have
Andrew
Jackson,
Jackson.
and he swore to rout those boogers out. So he was against the central bank establishing itself here in the States. And then on the $500 bill, you have McKinley, and he also was killed trying to go against the Fed in his day as well. So they make examples of the people that went against them. I feel in that respect. I feel like they're giving them a huge middle finger, you know, for perpetuity to have them on those denominations. You know what I mean?
From the study of sigils and symbology, uh, paper money is exactly that. I mean, it's a spell because you believe that there's something here that is actually, in this case, a $10 bill, but you actually think that this is money. It's make believe. The only thing that could be really money is money, the silver, something that's tangible. But this is why the occult is in here. I mean, and now I call, again, the COMEX, where were the controls? The Shanghai exchange had halted trading 3 times in their trading session today.
Hmm, really? Wow.
I think the Comdex owes the American public, particularly the American investor, why didn't you throw the switch on Friday? When you saw these options coming through, you knew they were coming through, but yet you allowed the market to crash artificially. Now, listen, the United States has got a big problem as well. So we wiped out $15 trillion just like that. But yet the United States cannot account for nearly $29 trillion. So Congress, Trump, Biden, Obama, Bush, Clinton, where'd the money go? Donald Rumsfeld told us that right before 9/11 on September 10th that the Pentagon failed the audit. I couldn't account for nearly $9 trillion. Well,
They've
that
never
number
passed an audit though. They fail every time with
every
their
time.
budgets and everything. I mean, that's just par for the course.
You've got Congress people, the Omar Ilham. How did she come into this country and how did she get to Congress? And furthermore, she didn't have a pot to piss in, but now she's worth $47 million. How does that work? She has the annual return rate of 3,500% on ROI. How the hell does that work?
Well, they got to join the club, you know. Another thing with regard to, do you remember around on September 11th, there were a lot of put options against the airlines, and they were able to like find some people that had done the put options, but nothing ever happened with regard to that either. And I mean, that's a direct implication that if you're putting at that, you know, again, that critical juncture, you're going to put options on airlines, you know, betting that they're going to lose stock money. Uh, you have to have some pre-knowledge, right? I mean,
It's
there's
crazy. Yeah. I mean,
so
I'm drawn back to the movie Wall Street, Oliver Stone. And that's really a great movie because it really did give the inside look of how this works. It's a rigged system.
no two ways about
And
it.
I can say the voting system is rigged.
Oh my God, don't
Same
even get me
thing.
started. Well, see, this is the thing. This is another thing that got me into the whole conspiracy thing. I was way into who was going against Clinton at the time? I can't think right now. From Texas, and then he had something happen with his daughter's wedding. Uh,
Is that Cheney?
no, no, no. He's the little man from Texas, Ross Perot, H. Ross
Oh,
Perot.
oh, Ross Perot. Yeah, I
Yes, in
love that guy. I
'92.
voted for him. In fact, I
I
campaigned
did
for him.
too. I voted. That was the first time I ever voted in an election, and because I was so scared of Clinton coming into office at the time, I knew that was bad news. And then they, you know, they jacked with him. They did some shenanigans
Oh,
with
yeah,
regard
they
to
did.
his daughter's wedding at the last minute, and basically, you know, they gave him the shebang. They gave him the boot out, basically, you know. So, and then Ron Paul got the same treatment as well. I went to a number of rallies here in Texas for Ron Paul, and man, he had, you know, a whole lot of support, a wide, diverse crowd of people that were very supportive of
People
him.
loved him.
And then they still do, but they
Yeah.
sidelined it, you know, so effectively, which is, you know, par for the course again, you know. So,
Well, and everyone's saying that this thing, they're messing with us. I get it. They don't like this. They don't like it being brought out, but this is not made up. This is not conspiracy. You can go out and do your own, go to the great oracle. Go
mhm.
to your God, whatever search engine that is, that's your God, and type it in. You can find this out. Everything that's being said here is backed up by market facts. And yet here we sit, and, they tried to give us this bullshit of enforcing law. And somehow or another, that's the big distraction. And oh, let's see, let's look at the Epstein thing. In the meantime, the goddamn currency, the greenback, is collapsing. The greenback had lost already year to date, which we're only into. This is the 2nd of February. Doesn't it feel like Groundhog Day? 4%. Now the dollar is only worth a penny or so now as it is right now. I think that this is, and I think the Black Swan event is going to be the other aspect. If this contagion, if this is allowed in manipulation, then this means they can do it in the bond market. And then that means the treasury bills are manipulated. It means that the Federal Reserve, who has no business to be in existence at all, is manipulating the market. So we have all these so-called platforms, agencies, bureaus, etc., that are all in the game of rigging the system. And again, what we saw Friday, someone needs to go to jail for that. But the way it works in this country, we reward the criminal and imprison the patriot.
Hmm. It's true. It's true. You know, and you did mention, the whole cursing with regard to these guys, but I'm kind of on the opposite foot with that. I want to throw them some favor because
But see
they've
that, but it
already,
is a curse to them. Paul wrote that he says that you heap coals of love upon your enemy, and it'll
mhm,
drive them crazy.
yeah, they've already made the bed that they are lying in, and I think karma is really going to come back to bite them. You know what I mean? That's a debt that they can't erase from the books. You know what I mean? All these shady shenanigans and all these things that they've done to injure people throughout the ages. They're going to get their just desserts at some point. It may not
That's a
be in the
good
eternal
debate,
realm.
Kory. And it's a great topic because there are some who say that karma is just man-made. It's what we do to try to rationalize in our mind the injustices that we see, that we continue to see. I'm just throwing it out in just a general discussion. And I know they're messing with the thing. I really, really apologize, but I'm reading that there have been three flares. Yeah, I saw the one earlier today, so how timely.
Yeah.
But let me explain too on the curse side.
Sure.
You see, so in my former religion, one of the things that Jesus taught that the curse is you have the right to do it. He
Well, he
said you
cursed the
have the
fig tree.
right to bind or to loose. Now, if I bind, just taking it to the extreme, someone that has done me wrong, so I'm going to go to God and I'm going to pray in Jesus' name that according to your word, God, this is what's happened. Your son told me that I can bind or loose. So I bind the prosperity. I bind the blessing from this individual. So tell me, is that a blessing or is that a curse?
Good question. I know that Jesus did curse the fig tree.
Certainly he did. What happened to it? 24 hours later, it was withered up, dead.
One thing I've been looking at with regard to a potential bank holiday situation is right up the street, which is on the 16th, because there actually will be a holiday, which is President's Day. And there's also going to be an eclipse. You know what I mean?
A
There's
lot of
a whole
stuff
lot of
happening,
things.
signs and wonders in the heavens,
There
right?
are things, and they do these machinations, magically. There's always a magical purpose, and this is like an incantation situation for them. So I don't know. Hopefully, I'm wrong about that, but I can see some shenanigans happening on the President's Day holiday, and that would proceed into something, like because I guess uh, Roosevelt shut down the banks entirely for like a whole week
Hmm.
during that
Then he
instance.
confiscated the gold, then the
Correct.
silver.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
But I want to
So,
go back on what you just said, though. Remember, Jesus cursed the fig tree.
yes.
I mean, come on, folks. I mean, let's not play Sunday school here. Let's be adults. So let's see. So if the imaginary Jesus can curse, I can't.
Mm.
And let's just say that I bless someone with overabundance of prosperity and it ends up killing them. Did I bless them or did I curse them?
Mm.
They have statistically shown that people who do not understand money and how it works, when they come into a sudden windfall, let's say a winning of a lottery, that they're usually broke within 5 years and they usually die within seven.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing as well.
The blessing of winning all that money became the biggest curse in their life. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's a matter of perspective here. And let me tell you, these sons of bitches, these corporations who are living entities, are putting a curse on you and me. Now, I grew up on the street and I found out something about bullies. If you allow a bully to bully you, they'll bully you the rest of your life. But if you go and you hit that son of a bitch square in the nose and you see that blood splatter, and this son of a bitch is 7 inches taller than you, and you see him hit the ground, and then you put your foot right in his scrotum, guess what he does after that?
He
He
respects you.
avoids you. You know how I know? Because I'm that son of a bitch who threw the punch. So anyway, getting back to the whole thing, that's what I mean. I mean, they've got this thing, Kory, coming for us. And from an esoteric point of view, and as a philosopher, I have found one thing in life that sometimes you have to fight fire with fire.
Oh, absolutely, no question about it. And that's also why I got into, the occult as well, because I realized that they use their black occult
They
rituals.
do.
I'm like, I can play this game.
Bingo. There you go, my man. That's what I'm
So
talking
that,
about.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I tried to express on the show, for such a long time as well, that you know, uh, they're using this stuff. We can use it as well. And just because you're aligned with just because your political affiliation might be one way or the other, you know what I mean? Because I was breaking bread with the Patriot crowd and all that, and they're not really big fans of Helena Blavatsky or Alice Bailey. They think that's the devil in a lot of
No.
instances. But we still were at the same meetings, the same the same protests, what have you, whatever. If there was something shady happening with access, we'd all be down there, you know, getting in people's faces and what have you. So this I see again is there's a definite resurgence of that mentality among a lot of people, all ages, all stripes, as I talked to you about before the show. And so that gives me a lot of optimism, a ton of optimism. The folks in the chat give me a ton of optimism. Um, so we have a handful of spooks that basically manipulate the things, from the top down. It's always pyramidal, and it's always hierarchical in some level. But we're the base, and once the base gets, fired up properly, at least just in their thoughts, just consciousness wise, I think that's the key. Just people thinking collectively, thought is a thing, and thought is what's going to drive things. People's,
I
just
call it the Rocky Mountain
accumulation.
Syndrome.
Beg pardon?
The Rocky Mountain Syndrome is what I call it. If people could understand that philosophy. And why do I say the Rocky Mountains? Because the Rocky Mountains are inverted. The rock and strata layer is upside down. Using the metaphor of the pyramid that we're the bottom means actually you just flip it, we're on the top.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about is flipping that to
Hmm.
where, again, I think that the common man and woman, uh, you can call us pagans, you can call us country folk, you can call us whatever. We're not the snooty, we understand that all souls are seeking parity. That's what we're talking about. What this whole show is not a bad show. The fact is, it says put a curse on them. Yeah, I'm literally talking about putting a curse on them. Why? Because if the curse is not what you think it is, it's not evil. You see, we've been brainwashed into thinking that, well, the blessing is good, but the curse is bad. If in true, if you truly believe as above, so below as above, then it shouldn't be that difficult for you. Because I can tell you this, Kory, I've seen more men and women each day curse themselves, curse their products, curse their appliances, curse their kids, curse their career, curse their finances.
Yeah.
I mean, we're good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. But we do need to crush the head of the serpent, if you want to get to
Sure. And you know how
the
you
root.
do that with the sword. Metaphysically speaking,
Yeah.
but no, it is coming together because, if, for instance, if you come together as a group and you bless that group, all right, and you speak that there's unity, there's power, and we have bonded one together in this and we're united in this. So that forms its own sphere. Now, if someone comes against that energy, would that be considered a curse?
No.
You have someone that's trying to oppose your energy, pushing you
Yeah.
out.
Right.
No. So how do you deal with that?
You're kind of getting back to like a martial arts themology as well, where there's this, you know what I
There's a
mean?
certain yin and yang, isn't there?
Completely. And that's why at the very top, I do see like the so-called Black Lodge and then the White Brotherhood, if you're gonna get into all that. They're doing this delicate dance, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
both they understand each other's position and they understand their reason to be, and so they are, adversarial to one another on the one hand, but they also are, at the grand scheme of things, they're both working towards the same ends in vastly different, diverse ends of the magnet, so to speak.
Yes. And someone says, oh, the Greg was saying on the Cortez show, yeah. It's a great opportunity because with great calamity comes great opportunity. It opens new doors.
Right, right.
I have learned, Kory, in my lifetime that uh, some of the richest people came out of depressions, recessions. Innovation was brought forward in the midst of great suffering.
Hmm.
And sometimes it was used for good, sometimes it was used for bad. And it always leads me up to the next level of thought. Okay, so we're talking about powers here that are inflicting their will, their future, how they see something upon us all. I don't like their future. I don't like their thinking. So I have to think to myself, all right, so they represent in the spirit kingdom, wealth has a direct representation in the ethereal. There are gods, goddesses, there's energies, entity, deities, daemons, demigods, however you want to say it, that actually control pockets of wealth. It's one of the things that I learned in Christianity was that if you take the Bible, there are more verses about money than anything else in the Bible. Did
Whoa.
you know that?
No.
Yeah. Jesus taught more about wealth than he did anything else.
I will say this quickly. There, the two ways that we are being controlled collectively are through time and through money. And they're both currency in a sense. Currency as
Currency,
far as
thank you.
duration, currents of current events, and then the currency regarding money. So that's where we're being manipulated, I think, as humanity. Until we
Yeah.
get those things tweaked appropriately, that's where we're going to still find ourselves in this quagmire.
It's weird because, I was so indoctrinated like Hebrews 13:4. I could give you Mark 11:24. I could give you verse after verse, John 16. Anything that it's quite interesting was to do with wealth, money. And it's not being poor or broke. I mean, a lot of people think that poverty is somehow another some form of righteousness, and it's not. I often said, why do you want to serve a broke God?
Right.
No. If he makes the promise that it's coming, better get a down payment first. But my point to all this is that um, so these gods, these power brokers, they do this and they do this over and over again. And it's simply because the common person, you and I, we don't have a voice, but we do have a voice. And this is where the occult comes in. Because the occult, much like religion, will teach us is that if we can unify in thought, we can move physical objects.
Mhm.
We can move literally physical wealth from one company to another. We can move physical wealth from one individual's family. Now, if that family has a deal or a covenant with a entity, then you have to be prepared for a fight because the entity will do whatever it has to keep its power. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So for that, so hear me out, folks, that would be perceived as a curse to the opposing force. But for us, we see it as liberation, a change. That's all.
Well, I think money is definitely in a real, it's mutating, right?
Oh,
So
all the time.
it's gonna go digital at some point, some form or fashion, and that really is esoterically that's closer to the real. Like esoterically, money is um, envisioned as a glowing stream, golden glowing stream, and so that's closer to actual money. But if there's still going to be the same control mechanisms in place, then it's still going to be, a tool of control. So again, until we get these things tweaked, and I can see, if things really get shady, people that have established money may lose everything. But then conversely, I think people like myself um, might find some creative ways to, you know, thrive in these instances where the old system has collapsed or has changed and mutated so much that they're going to provide new opportunities for people. And I think really what's going to happening is there's going to be a technocracy kind of mentality of folks, and then the more organic mentality where people are going to want to have like a commune garden living situation, and I think that's going to cause a rift at some point. I think it is going to be based around money and some changes, some drastic changes along those lines.
Well, I know
It's going to
from personal
force a bit.
experience, I've had millions and I've lost them, and I have been at a pinnacle and then literally was homeless. And as I look back, I wouldn't change a thing because it
Right.
was in the midst of that collapse that within me came the true person of who and what I am.
Hmm.
And I learned the lesson that money doesn't define me. Wealth
Hmm.
doesn't define me.
Right. Right.
It's what I do and how I perceive that defines me. And I have that peace within. So, and I can tell you in those moments of being on the street, realizing that everything you had is gone and you have only yourself to look within, and that's where you find that power.
Yeah.
And, within 6 months, the whole situation had turned around. And so that's the type of thing I'm talking about that I know it can be done communal. And that answer lies within all of us. And what I'm saying, we've done this before as a group. This group, Kory, when was that, folks? I was still living in Colorado then. Was that what, I guess 2020, I think? We actually did where I lived in Denver, we were in a serious drought. And so, as an experiment, this group got together and we focused simply on abundance, moisture. Some people just saw these continual downpours. Long story short, rain shows up out of nowhere. And it was during one of those storms I went out, and there was this rainbow that was literally on top of my house.
Hmm.
So, anyway, that's what I know we can do.
Hmm.
And when I see stuff like that happen on Friday, it bothers me because within me, the wizard within me says this can be dealt with. I mean, they've been jacking with our show. I get that. And if you've stayed with us, thank you. Make sure to hit the like button. Do you have a YouTube channel yet? I know you were talking, you've done your show before, but are you coming back out?
I need to. The thing is, I definitely took a hiatus around 2009 after I finished up the live broadcasting stuff in Austin on Access. And then YouTube became really prevalent, and I started seeing all these people making these videos. Like everybody and their grandmother had, like, occult symbolism of the halftime at the Super Bowl and all this sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let you kids get after it for a while, and and so I haven't been unpleased with watching, what's been unfolding with regard to other people taking on the esoteric mantle and giving their take on it and what have you. And so it's very refreshing. But yeah, I still have a lot of things. I threw those ideas at you pre-show about the Galactic Federation, the Super Friends cartoon. uh, what was the other one? AI and zero point energy. All those things I think are quite relevant and not really being discussed. So if I could find some little nichey things that I could pop in on that haven't been completely oversaturated, because I'm not going to do the whole same old, with
Could I
conspiracy
encourage
thing
you
and all.
to follow your passion on that? Because I sense that, yeah, it may be the same subject that may be talked about, but I see a lot of subjects and a lot of people that talk about Alan Watts.
Yeah,
But
I
every
really
time I
have a
get to
kinship
watch
with him.
Alan Watts, it's like, wow. And what I'm trying to say to you, Corey, I believe within me, I know what the Spirit is telling me, that you have a gnosis that, others need to hear. And listen, it may not be a 100,000 subscriber channel, could be.
Nah, I don't care about the numbers.
But if
That,
you help one person,
right. Yeah.
I mean, brother, and I've gotten so many beautiful emails from people, and over the years, many that have crossed over. You see, the Jesus cat said, store your treasures in heaven where neither thief, moth, nor rust can come. And so there is treasure on the other side. What I'm trying to say to you, Corey, the treasure for you is if one person finds that golden nugget that you help fit that piece together for them,
Mhm.
you get the credit.
Yeah, in all honesty, when I did the first broadcast on October 2nd, 2001, my knees were shaking like crazy. It's a live television show. You can't just
Yeah,
be like,
television
and
is a whole
and
different animal.
end meeting, I'm gonna pop out. I'm not feeling this. You had to do the whole thing, and an hour seemed like I remember the 17-minute mark. I'm sitting there, I'm like, however many
40
minutes
minutes?
left, and I've exhausted everything I was planning on speaking about. I jumped out the gate talking about the WTC and how the buildings came down and all the conspiracy stuff. I mean, boom, boom, boom. But with trying to interject, a metaphysical understanding of why these things are taking place. So yes, I agree with you, Lane. And this is, you're injecting me in the right direction because I've been wanting to get back into it. It's just, and I've got the means to do it. I've got, it's not difficult to have the proper equipment, a camera and a microphone. Everybody and their grandma again is doing it these days. So yeah, I just have to overcome what I call chronic LBS or lazy bastard syndrome that I have issues with on occasion. So it's just those things. You know what I mean? I've got plenty of interesting ideas. I feel like that people would find interesting. To
Do
some
it, do
degree.
it, do it.
Okay.
Corey, I'm telling you, I'm a youngster at 70, but the reason why I'm a youngster is that I've learned to be disciplined in my mind to keep it open and absorb any thought, any idea, and look at it from the kaleidoscope. And if I find a particular ray that looks promising, you get into that. And
Hmm.
wow, I can only encourage you because this is what I know, and it's just my experience. As long as you keep the resistance up, the spirit realm, they can't get through. You got the spirit guy that sits over here and he's saying, listen, or she's saying, I'm trying to get them. But my point is, once you make that, they're able to talk to you and they're able to speak to you new revelation on something. See, that was really interesting. I was one of those persons that, read the Bible through each year. And I
Hmm.
would get up every morning at 4:30 and do an hour and a half Bible study and prayer time and read the same verse over and over and over again, repetitive
Hmm. Right.
learning.
Sure.
But the interesting key about that is that it opens the third eye in a perspective. You're reading the same word, but the word no longer carries the same meaning. That's what I'm trying to say for you. You've
Hmm.
got the words. I think they're willing to give you some new meanings to your words.
Yeah, and I feel like I've got friends and guidance.
Yeah, sure you do.
I'm not here in the spirit sense as far as I'm not, channeling or having things in my head constantly, but occasionally enough, I just get this little this, that, and the other that I know, I'm
We
still,
all channel.
well, yes, yes.
True.
Believe me, the show logo that I have, that just
I
came
love
straight
that.
from source, man. I was thinking about
See?
a show logo back then. That was like June of 2001. I was like, I gotta have something really, I want it to be really metal, because I'm a heavy metal kid. And so I started going along that line of thinking, and then it just popped into my head, the flame on top of the star and the crown, just like whoom. And then I started drawing it out. And I found a tattoo artist right down the street. My friend suggested, and he only charged me $20 to make it look, tight like it is. So it was a tattoo artist that made
I'm
it look like
and such a newbie here. So how expensive are tattoos? I mean, I don't have any. And the reason why
I
I
don't
don't,
either.
a
I don't
fear
have
of
any.
needles.
Yeah, here too, brother. That's a good
Fuck
fear to
no,
have.
no way, man. Mm-mm,
You
mm-mm.
don't want to be on the streets on Montrose, looking for a needle.
Ah, and I'm thinking back then in the day when I was, 15, 16, etc. No one was getting tattoos. No one. The only one who
Yeah,
had tattoos were
right.
dudes that were in the say, in the Navy primarily. You
Right.
know?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
kind of a taboo thing. I even remember my friend thinking that his father was going to go to hell because he had tattoos.
Leviticus teaches against it. Leviticus, the book of Leviticus, says that to tattoo the body is participating in bloodletting. It's a blood cult.
Mm.
And anything to do with bloodletting in Leviticus was considered to be enough to banish you from ever laughter. They
I
won't,
think
what is it someone says? Make sure it's only temporary because I still want to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. I could see that when the zombies arrive. What happened to George? Oh, hell, he got that damn tattoo. You say so. So, but anyway, so you got a tattoo on and
no, no, I didn't get a tattoo. I
oh,
got him. No, no, no tattoos on me. I
oh,
got him to tighten up my design
okay,
because
okay.
he was such a great artist, and he did all the heavy metal stuff for like all kind of metal people, metal
Oh
bands and
yeah,
stuff, like the
yeah,
real
yeah.
evil looking stuff that's like a whole sleeve and everything. That was his forte. And so when my friend suggested him, he was the perfect guy to do it. He knew exactly. I just gave him a few pointers. I
They're
showed him.
artists.
I gave him my little sketch, and boom, it
I
was
mean,
a few
tattoo
days
artists
later.
are they're Michelangelos. They're using the human body as the tap the picture, the canvas. And I love tattoos. I think
Yeah, they're
the more
fascinating.
colorful, the more knew a chick that had just gorgeous. I mean, yeah, you call them sleeves. Is that what they call
Yes,
that?
correct. Yes.
Okay. You see,
Yeah. No face tattoo though. I think that's neck
I
and
don't
face.
understand that one. Yeah.
I
I
can,
mean, to each his own, but
right, correct. And
yeah.
piercings for that matter too. I mean, that's I'm not gonna play that game either. But
So
I
how
want to talk
many
about
in the
some.
audience? I want to know in the chat room, how many of you have tattoos? I'm just curious. Loretta says I have three. One is a cover up. Okay. I mean, I think it's cool, but like I said, I have this, and you can ask my wife. I mean, I will pass out sometimes at the sight of a needle and blood. Forget it. I mean,
Yeah, I'm the same way, Wayne. Exactly. My I had
I
an
am a
ex.
wimp.
Yeah, I
I
had an
admit it.
ex that I had an ex once that was getting some medical stuff done, and I was sitting right there, and I got queasy. And next thing you know, all these medical people are attending me. I'm lying down, like, whoa, where am I? You know what I mean? And she's still sitting over there. So yeah, I'm completely in the same boat with you on that one. It's just like
Hmm.
your blood is in your body for a reason, is my thinking. I'm not gonna give blood or
It's a
plasma. You know what I mean?
spacesuit. Why do I want to puncture my pressure suit? No,
Yeah,
no.
completely, completely, exactly,
And this
exactly.
is talking to a dude that, when I was recovering from meningitis,
Hmm.
um, so my neurologist, God, it was like every 2 weeks, I had to get a lumbar puncture, a spinal tap.
Ooh, boy.
Oh, man. God, it still just freaks my ass out.
You just mentioned it.
That's all I got to
Really,
tell you. Just, uh, and I hope everyone sees that, yeah, the system is rigged. We know that. I'm just throwing out there that if occult knowledge is true, if it's just not all bullshit, just someone making up something to make a buck with, if there are in fact entities on the other side, some pro, some con, maybe some neutral, do they make alliances, allegiances? And if that is true or false, then who is in control of this? Is it humans? And if it's humans, then where are they getting their power base out? What makes them think that they have the right or the power just because they have money doesn't make you God? I'm a God and I'll take you on one. Strip your money away and we'll find out how naked you really are. That's my point, folks.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, yep.
And let me just be as blunt as I can. Either you stop playing house or you start really building the house. Because if the occult is here, and if there are demons, daemons, angels, if these angels, demons, or daemons are sent here as messengers, servants to us, are we just so fucking ignorant that we don't put them to work? That we let those who are in power put them to work? I was there in Denver, Colorado, Mile High Stadium, when Barack Obama, and if you remember his platform, it was a replication of Mount Olympus. And it was an ordaining, it wasn't a
Mm,
nomination.
yeah, exactly.
I watched the spell that was cast, and if you go back and look at the old film, you can see it. That when he began to speak as that of a god.
Hmm. They
We have
also
a
had the
president
mantra.
right now, pardon?
Oh, they had the mantra, "Yes, we can. Yes, we
Yeah, yeah.
can."
Oh, it was heavily occultish.
Hmm.
And
And
now
it
we have a
always.
president who believes he's on a mission from God, that his life has been spared by God.
Well, you've compared him to being a demigod, and I think that's not inaccurate. I mean, he's just like, he's the next level.
They
Whatever he
walk
is, he's the
among
next
us, they're
level.
still here.
Yeah,
And that's another thing. Thank you, Corey, for bringing that up because that's a discussion. Are we up against the gods? Are there truly demigods in these positions of power? Is that what protects them? Is that what gives them the shield that they can be caught in the Epstein files of going to his pedo island some 37 times and yet no one can touch them? If you want to get distracted, that's something to be distracted by. I mean, I'm just talking everyday reality. And I'm saying that if the occult if it works, if all these grimoires I have and all the spell books and everything else that needs to actually conjure a spirit, if that is real, then what is it for? What's the purpose for? Is it just you? Is it just to do your own self improvement? Or is it something to make your mark upon the world? And if you don't have the power individually, you think, to take it on, then join with like minded individuals.
yeah, definitely.
That's why we're a tribe here. We're
Mm,
diverse in our thoughts and our background, but we're united in our cause.
mm-hmm. Yep, yep.
And
I
Corey,
know.
let me just say,
Yeah.
do it. Get a show, get a channel going. I'll help
Well, I've got
promote
the
you.
channel. I've got the channel. I even have a channel called Vinyl Mancy that I haven't done anything with as well. So I got a whole host of things and show
Well, you
topics.
get
It's
it
just
up and you tell me which one you want, and we'll get you promoted here. I know
yeah,
we can get you a couple of hundred just like that subscribers, and yeah.
yeah. It's just a matter of putting out new product. Really, this I've just archived my old Access television shows, so all that stuff is like 20 plus years old. But it's interesting because watching back when I recorded them for YouTube, I saw like how much of what I was talking about then is taking place now as far as energetically, with regard to medicine, astrology, a lot of these things that I talked about then are really burgeoning now and becoming part of the part of our everyday experience.
I
So
find
it's
that
refreshing.
the gnosis or the occult, if you want to use that word, is spreading. I had a conversation with a person checking out today at the store, And she says, "Can I ask what you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm a philosopher." She says, "I never met a philosopher. What does a philosopher do?" I said, "What a philosopher does is that I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think you're alive or dead right now?"
You're asking me?
No, I asked the woman.
Oh,
This is a conversation that happened at
I
the
got you.
grocery store this morning.
Right, right.
And she's, doing her thing, and she says, "Well, I'm alive." I said, "So let me ask you this. Do you believe in the future?" And I could see her head starting to think, and she kind of looks up and she says, "Yes." I said, "Well, congratulations, you're already dead. I'm talking to a dead woman, and you're talking to a dead man."
Hmm.
And she came over and told the other gal, checkout gal, she says, "Julie, you ought to listen to this guy." And she says, "I never knew what a philosopher does." And I told her, I said, "There you go." And she said, "No one's ever talked." She says, "Where did you come from?"
Hmm.
So, Kory, that's what I'm talking about for
Yeah,
yourself.
I've gotten that sentiment from people my whole
See?
life. Like I was just the odd, weird one from 5 years old to now. So, nothing new there. And like you said, this supposedly they gave us maybe somebody got a manual for how this thing operates, but I either lost mine quite early on or I never got one. I've been winging it ever
That's the book I
since.
have been hunting for, and I mean, I'd pay a king's
Yeah,
ransom for it if I could find it.
yeah.
I've
So
spent
it's
a small fortune trying to locate it, but no, I don't know what they did with that. Did the Adama get the only copy? I don't know.
mm. Yeah,
You know,
so
you
just
got to
winging
think
it.
about it. I don't. It's like what happened? Well, everybody, did the buffering improve? I'm just saying. Seen a lot of comments. Well, I hope it has.
Yeah.
Well, Kory, this has been fun, buddy. I mean, let me just encourage you to do it. I can sense within me that you have a wisdom and a perspective that I think many will find great solace in.
I certainly hope
When I
so.
hear someone who speaks like I'm really into Richard Feynman right now. Have you ever listened to Richard Feynman's lectures?
No, I'm not familiar with that guy.
May I encourage you to start his first one, and you can find him on YouTube. Find
Okay.
out his lecture on death.
Okay.
And I can assure you, after you listen to that lecture on death, you will not see death as you do. You'll have an understanding of what reality is. So, but my point is, I'm finding because he's opening, and for me, sometimes they're colors. I find these ribbons and I get in there and it's so anyway, check it out.
Okay.
It's something that may help. But my point is, by you putting out new product, you never know when a certain word spoken by you, certain inflection has that energy that so corresponds to another person that, it's like, wow. So, and I have that sense that that's a future that I think you're going to enjoy.
All righty. I like your encouragement. Again, it's just me just doing it really. I've got everything at my disposal. It's just a matter of
You
just,
might as well put it.
and I've got free time. I'm only working part time, so I've
So,
got a
yeah,
lot. I have no
yeah.
excuse not to. In other words, long story short.
Well, I believe that there will be opportunities. It happens. It really does. I mean, in my own personal life, yeah, it will happen. And it attracts. The the universe, what we call the universe, is mental, and within it there are, I call them ribbons that flow,
Right.
and wealth. You have to learn to get into its vibration, but once it senses the likeness of that energy, it
Mm-hmm.
begins to gravitate towards you, and it goes with everything else. So anyway,
Yeah, there's an affinity involved with all that for
yeah, it
sure.
is. Yeah, it's a far out place.
Yeah,
We're in it right now. That's
yes,
just
we
what people
certainly
don't
are.
understand. We're in affinity right now. It's just a piece of it. So
No,
where can people find you?
uh, the show is, I'm sorry, the YouTube is Kory Kortis.
Okay,
So
I'll
that's my
put that.
name.
Kory Kortis, that's with a K.
Correct.
So it's kind of easy. Kory. I put the name down there. So, and I just want to say thank you all to the chat room. I know when we first started talking, I know Susie, was looking, I don't curse anyone. I can dig that. I can completely dig that. It's a very it's the hippie way because I don't want to do no harm,
Right, right. Do no harm.
and that's what it is. But in the study of the power of our words, it's often said that it isn't uh, the power of the word, it's the word of the power. And the thing that I don't like manipulations of the market. What
Hmm.
happened on Friday should not have happened. That will speak and that will continue. I don't like what they've got planned because they've been dishonest with us. The very currency that you and I depend on to pay your bills, to pay the electric bills, to keep the heat, keep the food going, putting gas in the car, etc. We're all dependent on a system that we have great faith in. And the problem is that faith has been misused and misdirected. And it's been done for a very long time. And now they can't keep the house of cards up. So there is a Black Swan event coming. Um,
But you know,
it's
Wayne, there's
sad.
another thing as well. I think there's going to be a black swan, very likely, potentially, that's going to take our eyes away from all this in a big way. Which the two thing, well, the one thing for sure is alien disclosure. If that happens, all bets are off. You know what I mean? That's going to restructure and change everything. And I do anticipate that's going to happen
You're
in,
not alone in that thought. A lot of people,
yeah.
and I call the norms, they keep talking about it.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, again, that's like I was saying, people on YouTube these days, the number of people that are believe in alien life, first of all, for sure, but then think that there's going to be some imminent kind of disclosure contact situation. That number is growing. And then also the introduction of zero point energy. It's going to have to happen sooner than later because AI and these data centers cannot keep going the way that they're going without the introduction of zero point energy. It would take away the need for the heating. You know what I mean? There's a whole host of things that we could talk about another time, but that's going to be introduced sometime in the near future as well. I mean, I thought back in the Pons and Fleischmann days, back in the late '80s when they were doing the room temperature cold fusion experiments, that it's any day now, and so obviously, you're talking about a big entrenched beast here with regard to energy and the monetary system. Um, but zero point energy has to happen. They have to bring. They have it. They have it very well. I'm saying that it's completely been perfected beyond any of our imaginations as far as what they have access to, if you want to use those terms. But it's going to have to be implemented for everyday folks very soon in order to keep the beast going as it is. The data centers can't keep going. Even the one in Abilene is called Stargate,
Yeah.
and they've only got two buildings built thus far, and they've only got about 84 of the 400, almost 500 of the GPUs that they need in order to get that thing actually up and happening. So, this
I've
is
sent a
what
number of
I think
people
something's going
down
to happen.
there to work. One was a welder, got hired the minute he pulled up. If you're looking for a job and if you have a technical trade skill, um, think about it. If you're in the States, they're paying good money there. But my whole thing, and Kory, this is just me. I keep
Hmm.
getting this thing that, all right, it's using huge amounts of energy, and
Hmm.
that's unsustainable.
Right, right.
But it would be more sustainable if you cut the population by three quarters.
I think that's in the works too, Wayne. It's
I
been,
mean, and I'm not being a
it's
negative
been,
nanny, but
no,
I'm just saying
yeah.
it ain't normal. These data centers are not normal.
But what is in this day and age?
Well, it's true. I don't even know what
It's a
normal is.
bizarro
What
world.
what was it Roddy McDowell said in McDowell? in
Planet of
Star
the
Trek
Apes.
Generations,
Oh.
and he had Geordi up there, and
Hmm.
he's looking at these glasses, and he says, "What are you?" And he says, Geordi says, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, you're not normal, are you?" And Geordi says, "Well, I don't know what normal means." And Roddy McDowall had the greatest comeback of all times. He says, "Normal is what everybody else is, but you're not."
Pretty much sums it up,
So none of us are normal here
Yeah.
because, this is the most diverse, eclectic group I've ever come around, but I love every one of them. So,
Absolutely, absolutely.
well, my friend, thank you. Have to have you back on. You are a kindred soul. I have a sense that I'd love to start pulling out more information. So let's get you into, coming
Get me
back
into
on again.
circulation.
Huh?
Get me into circulation like a magazine.
Absolutely. I think that, I love the voices. And when a voice is willing to come forward and say, hey, I've had extensive decades of learning. I've looked at the metaphysical, the esoterical, the occult. I've seen the side of theology, philosophy, ideology. That's what I'm looking for. And you've got it. You have a very rounded approach, as many people in this chat room does. And so that's what makes good videos. That's what makes good content because I learn from it.
Hmm.
And I take notes. And so that's how it works.
Yeah, no, I'm with you completely. I mean, there's no reason not to. So,
Well, you have a voice, and Corey, you have something to say it. You should say it because I'll be one of your best fans and promote you as well.
well, I'll let you folks know in the chat more so is like if I pop up something, which it's going to be sooner than later, I'm having a feeling at this point. I'll keep you all, aware and abreast of it and that sort of thing. But I want to talk to you about another thing as well, real quick. Let me just throw a real big curve at you, real quick.
Sure.
So people have kind of like Three Eye Atlas has basically fallen off the charts and the map to some degree, right? And it's supposed to be heading to Jupiter right now, towards Jupiter. And March 16th, it'll be closest to Jupiter. So it's skating at 33.3 million miles away from Jupiter. It's at the sweet spot where if it were to be any less than that, it would potentially get sucked in towards Jupiter's orbit. And away from that, obviously, is more of a safe spot. So the Three Eye Atlas is heading in that direction. Are you familiar with the movie 2010, The Year We Made Contact
Mm-hmm.
from 1984? Okay, so in that one,
John Lithgow and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Roy Scheider and a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
other people. Yeah, so in that one, the monolith, they find that huge monolith that's like 2 kilometers long outside of uh, outside of Jupiter. And then before, I don't want to do this too much of a spoiler, but I kind of have to. But so then at some point, Jupiter implodes, right, and becomes a second sun, and Europa is going to be the new life source where life is going to be expected to start living and thriving, and evolution is going to begin there. So what if Three Eye Atlas hits Jupiter and turns it into a second sun?
Yeah, someone asked me about that, why I don't do any shows because, and I wrote back because, well, first of all, I don't know what a intergalactic spaceship would look like. I
I
don't know
don't
what
think it's
kind
a
of tech,
spaceship necessarily, but it's
well,
big enough to do
or
something.
it, from what I've seen, it has displayed some interesting characteristics. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, I can't say for sure.
it seems to have something that not normal in Jupiter. So I've, in particularly in a number of the books I have, it has always said that Jupiter was not initially in our orbit.
Hmm.
And when the collision of our solar system and the other system that brought Venus in, and then you could see the collision of the planets as they were moving. Many say that that was when Tiamat and Marduk were destroyed in that passing of that Nibiru, the brown dwarf star, wandering planet, however you want to describe it. So. And if there is intelligence that has been able to conquer the time-space um, quandary, which I
Mm-hmm.
believe they can, why not? God can.
Mm-hmm.
If he can, then the rest of us can. So, um, I think that we have such a limited spectral of what time is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we're only in a brief pause.
Mm-hmm.
It was very chaotic over here. We've had this pause, and it's about to get very chaotic over here.
Mm-hmm.
So, to
Well,
think
there's
about with
also the
Jupiter,
yeah, there's also the Yuga cycles as well, and supposedly we're
true.
coming out of the
Mike and Cent,
getting into the the upswing, if you
yeah.
will, and more towards
So
the
we're going
positive.
from Pisces to Aquarius, is that right?
Pluto is in Aquarius. That's
Yeah.
first time in a long, long time. And so, yes, all those are, indicators that there's going to be great, great change. And the outer planets are the ones that change and affect more so humanity at large, as opposed to the inner planets, which are personal, more personally involved with our charts and what have you. So, yeah, all those movements and shakings are really unprecedented, and they're all happening now that haven't happened in thousands of years or longer. So, I mean, it's got to there's all energy. Anytime you move things around, in exchange like that, things are going to change. And so we snap to accordingly, and we can act intelligently, just like with using the occult to fight fire with fire. It's definitely something that people are starting to do. It's getting together and unified on a focus on an object to accomplish. I guess that's really more so the key, I would say.
Well, see, this is how I kind of see it is that, in facts, we're going to go over, so that's cool. But I see, like, for instance, you pinpoint the one that's doing the manipulation, right?
Hmm.
You call that by name, and you call those spirits, those energies that have taken dominion over that name or that entity.
Hmm.
And then it's a matter of what do you have on your side?
Hmm.
I mean, in meditation this morning, Amadeus spoke up in my mind
Hmm.
and literally said, I'll do it if you ask.
Hmm. Do you
Now,
mean
if you know
Asmodeus?
Asmodeus,
Yeah. Yepers.
now, isn't it odd that of all things that he comes into my thought?
Yeah. Well, let's see. This is a thing as well. A lot of these, like Marduk or Astaroth or Asmodeus, they're perceived as negative, right? But I think that they can be neutralized, and we can use them for, you know what I mean? They don't have to be bad and evil and satanic and all that.
Mm.
You know what I
What I
mean?
heard is that he says this is a just cause.
Yeah, I think
So it
that they're
tells me
very
that they
important.
haven't deployed him. There's no reason for him to have come into my thought at all, but literally what I heard is, hello, I'm Asmodeus. I can help.
Hmm. There you go.
So I'm just being very open with everybody here. So if I get it, if no one joins me, well, listen, I know when you dance with fire, you have to have asbestos gloves. That's all I'm saying.
You got a point, yeah.
You see, sometimes that common sense, that old Texas, you can't get the boy, you may get take the boy out of Texas, but you can't take Texas out of the boy, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a
And
very, very
I'm
true statement.
still a Texan. I mean, wasn't born there, but certainly was raised there. So, and I can say y'all, I can speak the lingo quite
Oh,
well, thank
absolutely.
you. You down
Absolutely.
with my family within 2 days, I'm talking like, Estonian Texan.
Hmm. I can see that.
Corey, this has been fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again for your encouragement, Wayne. I mean, that means a lot to me. And I know, the folks in the chat are very, very supportive as well. So I look forward to seeing you folks in some different capacities and also having you on as a guest on Necessary Science Roundtable at some point in the very near future as well. We can kick that around and
Love it.
get that
But I'm going
together.
to get you back on because I think we can have some very good discussions because it's relevant for the day.
Yeah, I think the fact that you're the age that you are with the experiential life experience that you've had, and myself as well. There's a whole host of things we could discuss. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And freestyle and make a show interesting about any number of things. Even just discussing music one of these days, like if I do a Vinyl Mancy show and have you on as a guest, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff. So I need to start ferreting it out. But thank you, Wayne, very much for the encouragement. That means a lot to me.
Thank you, Kory. It's been fantastic. And I always love talking about, I always think of Gilbert and others, it's like, you know, at least I got to see the bands. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. So
um,
close to the stage that you scared the band.
literally. And, someone asked me, they said that you had smoked a joint with Don Henley. Folks, it was literally, we were at the Sam Houston Coliseum. We were out right next to the elephant doors. Those are the big doors that they open. And there was three of us, and we were just smoking a joint, and this dude come around the corner and said, "Oh, I really didn't know he was Don Henley. I didn't know at the time at all."
Did
And,
he had the fro going though? Did he have
yeah,
the fro
yeah,
hair going? Oh yeah, wow.
yeah, I didn't know who he was. I mean, we were all of us were hippies back then. I mean, who knew that, you know, yeah. And so he walks off, and the other guy goes, "I swear to fucking God, that's Don Henley." It's like,
That's pretty
all
wild.
right, sure,
See,
yeah,
that's back when you could do those sorts of things, you know. 'Cause I've been to
yeah.
the Sam Houston Coliseum before as well,
Yeah,
so I can relate completely. I can envision exactly,
you
the
probably know
fans
exactly where I'm
screaming.
talking if you've ever been
Yeah.
back there, because that's what we did, was unload the trucks and
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. God, it was fucking hot too. I'll just tell you. Oh, Kory, love you, man. I have to get you back on for sure.
All right, Wayne. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day. Thank you, thank
All
you,
right,
thank you.
everybody. We appreciate you and thank you so much for all of you who've stayed with us. Hey, listen, they found out that we weren't that bad after all. That's what they're going to say. Well, we expect them to really be radical. No, we're not radical. We're rational. You
There
know,
you go. That's
we're
better.
not radical. So we love people. We love all people, even
But
those that do us harm.
but I think we are formidable nonetheless.
That we are. That we are.
Yeah.
And trust me, there's a lot of streetwise people here. Someone I was telling when I tell you the story when I hit that guy. He was just a God, man, he was an asshole. But you know, like he told me, he said, "You're one tough little son of a bitch." I said, "Yeah, whatever."
That's one of those "where are they now" stories, you know.
Exactly. Where are they now?
Where is this guy now? Whatever happened to that guy? I wonder. He may have
Oh,
changed his life around
yeah.
at some level. You never know, you know. So
No, I still love that guy. It's me, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I really love him. I mean, he's just like, dude, man, you had your shit together. Not always, but there were the moments. Kory, you know exactly what it's
Oh
like.
yeah. Yes.
All right, folks, I'll shut up. We'll see y'all tomorrow with Miss Jenny and Miss Tarina. And then tomorrow afternoon, I'll be with Ryder Lee over there with Raised by Giants. Be 1 hour after we end. So, yeah, busy day tomorrow. So thank all of you. Thank you for your input. Thank you for your love. And thank you for your support.
It,
And by that, you can do it by subscribing, liking, thinking yourself, wow, sending Kory good vibes. That Wayne, he's a beautiful dude. Send him. That's what I'm talking about. All
of
right,
course.
everybody. Till we see each other again.